On Friday the 9th of December, we will visit the Burren National Park as part of our geography studies on rocks and weathering. The Burren is one of the finest examples of a karst landscape in the world, so we are extremely fortunate it is right on our doorstep. Our trip will focus on three important areas. Number 1, the landscape. We will be able to view the various features of the karst landscape that we have studied in class and explore how these features form the unique area. Number 2, flora and fauna. The flora, plant life, and fauna, wildlife of the Burren are rare, and we'll be looking out for examples of these as we travel through the area. The history. The Burren has a wide variety of historical monuments and archaeological sites. These include high crosses, dolmens, ring forts and churches. We will see a number of these on our trip in and out of the Burren National Park, and we'll be exploring 2 in detail. We will have 3 learning outcomes for our field trip. Number 1, the students will be able to use observation skills to identify the key geological features of the karst landscape and the diverse flora and fauna that live there. Number 2, students will use their fieldwork skills to identify the process of weathering on limestone pavements. This will be done by walking through a section of the National Park with our tour guide and measuring the clints and grikes we observe. This information will then be used in class during your presentations. Number 3, students will be able to locate and identify examples of historical monuments located in the Burren and understand their significance. This will be done using maps handed out on the day and using your phones to take photos of the monuments we see on the trip and interesting parts of the sites we visit. Key skills. The 3 key skills we will focus on throughout our trip will be working with others. You will be working in groups throughout your field trip, which will involve cooperation and respect of your peers. You will learn together throughout the day. Communicating. As part of the field trip, you will be communicating with your peers, your teacher and tour guide. It is important to remember to express yourself, but also to listen and respect when others are speaking and sharing their ideas. Managing information and thinking. As part of this field trip, you will focus on the key skill of managing information and thinking by gathering, recording, organising and evaluating the data we obtain on the day. You will also use digital media by sharing the images taken on your phones of the various sites we visit on the day. We will then share these images on our class blog after the trip, and they can also be used in your class presentations. Cross-curricular links. On this field trip, there will be a number of links between your different subjects that you should be aware of. The first is history. We will visit 2 historical sites on our field trip. The first will be Caherconnell Fort, which is a 1500-year-old ring fort located in the Burren. We will be able to explore the grounds of the fort and follow the short audiovisual presentation which explains the history of the fort and the people that live there. The second site we will visit is Poulnabrone Dolmen, which is a portal tomb dating back to the Neolithic period, which is between 4200 BC and 2900 BC. We will be able to walk around this site and explore the grounds also. Our tour guide will give us an in-depth talk on the history of the dolmen. Science, flora and fauna. You will hopefully see some examples of the rare flora and fauna unique to the Burren National Park on our trip. If you see something unusual on the day, please make one of the teachers or the tour guide aware. and also take a photo so we can discuss it when we return to class later in the week. Art. As part of our fieldwork task at the limestone pavements, you will get an opportunity to sketch a section of the pavement. You will be provided with all materials for this. Mathematics. As part of their fieldwork research, you will take measurements of the clints and grikes of the limestone pavement. That will show the erosion and how it takes place of these pavements in the burn. You will then use this data to form part of your class presentation next week. Why are we exploring the burn on our field trip? The burn is Ireland's greatest outdoor classroom, and it is not only one of the best exposed limestone regions in northwest Europe, but has many interesting examples of historical sites and rare ecological species. We luckily are all living within half an hour of this fantastic region and can visit the area to enhance our learning. The fieldwork trip will allow you to understand the karst landscape in further detail and how it is formed by being able to see and interact with the environment itself. The burn is within our local area and provides a rich resource of interesting information for us to use during our studies of rocks and weathering. We will be able to use the fieldwork skills we have studied in class and practice them within living environments also. The historical sites we will visit as well will help us gain a deeper understanding of how people lived in our area across the different ages and how it's affected our local community. In geography class, we have studied both rocks and weathering. As part of this field trip, we will be able to see examples of limestone, shale, and sandstone and siltstone in our local area. We will also have the opportunity to examine the limestone pavements and use the field trip skills we have covered in class to measure the clints and grikes. You will be divided into groups on the day, and the information you obtain on the field trip will be used in your presentations based on weathering and erosion next week in class. History. Human civilization came to the burn shortly after the end of the Ice Age 10,000 years ago and was home to some of the earliest education in Europe, with a monastic school established here in the 7th century. There is evidence of past cultures and learning everywhere in the burn. There are over 500 ring forts and approximately 75 wedge tombs dating from the Neolithic period. We will visit one of the most recognised portal tombs in Ireland on our field trip. Being able to visit historical sites like Pool na Brón Dolmen and Caherconnell Fort will allow a better understanding of the people who lived in our area during these times. We will get a guided tour of both these sites, and I do encourage you to ask as many questions on the day about these sites to help with your understanding and learning. We'll now recap on the learning outcomes for our field trip. After the field trip, you will have used your observation skills to identify the key geological features of the burn. You will have used your fieldwork skills to identify and measure the process of weathering on limestone pavements, and you will have been able to locate and identify significant examples of historical monuments within the burn. Before we finish today, I would like you to complete the worksheet I've handed out. This will help you revise the chapters of rocks and weathering. It would also help to have this information fresh in your mind before our field trip. When we return from our trip, you will complete the rest of the sheet, allowing you to reflect on what you have learned on the day. I will now give you a few minutes to complete the sheet, and please make sure to hand these up before you leave class today.